Madam President, I want to thank the Father above for breath, strength, and the will to face every day, especially in these challenging times. And I am reminded by the good book that in everything we must give thanks. And speaking about giving thanks, I want to thank the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, for giving me this opportunity to serve and to continue to serve in the capacity as Honorable Senator. Madam President, once again, I want to thank the Bahamian people, along with the residents living here, for their common agreement to continue to obey the laws within this emergency powers. You have shown and are continuing to show every day that you are in this to win it. Over the past couple weeks, we have seen an increase in the confirmed numbers of COVID-19 cases, which in some resulted in some deaths. The virus has brought heartache, financial loss, sadness, and mourning to households. This virus has affected and attacked our cultural way of life. Some jobs have been temporarily suspended. Social life has been limited. As we be real, a lot of things have been limited. Some aren't happy about it, but they understand. Others do understand why, but decide to be either difficult, looking for attention, or even being political. But that's the society we live in. My fellow Bahamians, the virus still is the biggest single challenge this country has faced in modern times since the recession. Under the former F&M administration, the recession slammed powerful countries, causing jobs to either be lost, incomes, and even savings to disappear quickly into thin air. Not because it was a Bahamas problem, but truth be told, it was a global crisis. The opposition then, despite a good chunk of them are still here today, played politics with the lives of the Bahamian people on that matter, with their pretty words, well-scripted emotions, organized protests here and there, telling the Bahamian people that it is the F&M administration who is causing the hardships on the Bahamian people. Even though they understood what was happening globally and what was at stake, I say to you, my Bahamian people, don't you see the same script being played? Don't you see some of these, don't you see some of those very same characters then and now? I'm reminded by the PLP's chairman and senator when he said that the F&M has the power, but we want the power. That is all that matters. I want to say to Senator Mitchell that with power comes responsibility. Madam President, once again, the entire Bahamas and the rest of the world is still faced with this global pandemic. Powerful countries in the G7, with all their financial capital, all their global power, they themselves are being forced to take extreme measures to protect their country and fight the fight against COVID-19. These measures are being put in place not to brag about who has the authority, but instead to help save lives, preserve a country and its culture. So I ask the question to my fellow Bahamians, is it about power or is it about common sense? Madam President, since March 17, 2020 of this year, when the first emergency orders came to light, the government has been steadfast in its behavior and approach on doing what is right by the Bahamian people. The Prime Minister is on record repeatedly saying he is guided by the advice of the medical professionals. The opposition, on the other hand, because of their heavy thirst for power, once again decided to fumble the ball for unity. Yeah, y'all fumble the ball for unity. Created, and what they did was created their own. Create their own PLP COVID task force, hold press conferences, in a so-called attempt to offer advice that were questionable and head-scratching suggestions to the medical professionals. The opposition knew what they were trying to attempt by putting politics first over the lives of the Bahamian people. But it backfired, and the country moved on. In August of this year, Dr. Brennan, who was speaking on the issue, on the increase in numbers, said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, that is continuing to put us in a position where it is difficult for us to at this stage, to take in hand this current wave." He added, "It's going to make it more difficult for us to say at any point that we are going to be able to suppress what is going on with the viral spread, and for us to make a recommendation that now that our numbers are looking so much better, that we are going to bring this down." End quote. As I said, my fellow Bahamians, the competent authority is guided by the health professionals. So I ask the question again, my fellow Bahamians. Is it about power, or is it about common sense? Madam President, now there's this talk about the Prime Minister is falling in love with power. He is becoming a dictator and doesn't want to let go of the power. I say to you, my fellow Bahamians, and I say this again, I say to you, my fellow Bahamians, anyone can make up lies on someone just for headline's sake, but I tell you the truth. What is being said, being painted, or slapped on him is pure rubbish. Yeah. The competent authority is not waking up and saying Andres, Abaco, Exuma, Eleuthera, San Salvador, or Michael, Grand Bahama, or even Nassau, that you or we will be on lockdown all because I said so. No, again, it is pure rubbish. In every decision being made, the medical professionals, along with others from different agencies, will meet with the competent authority, present their findings, suggestions with the medical and scientific facts, along with other things. The competent authority, who has consistently conducted and governed himself accordingly to the emergency orders, has said, and I quote, "As Prime Minister and as a medical doctor, I will act based on the facts and the best medical and scientific information possible." Madam President, let me say it again, because I think that fly over the opposition, because you could hear the heckling I'm getting. So I'll say it again so the people could hear. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "As a medical doctor, I will act based on the facts and the best medical and scientific information possible." End quote. That is what the Prime Minister has been doing since March of this year. In England, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, leaders in the Caribbean, and the list goes on, have been doing the same thing. The opposition, who knows all of this very well, instead of being upfront, frank, and straight with you, the Bahamian people, instead enjoys creating fields of fake news or even a sea of confusion, all in an attempt to target individuals who may not know better. But I say to you, the more lies you come with to deceive the people, the more truth we will tell on you. Madam President, overall, we had 77 deaths so far as a result of COVID-19 across 8 islands. Nassau accounts for 56. Grand Bahama accounts for 14. Some might say that's low, but I will agree with those who say it's high, because one life lost to COVID-19 is too many. Records will show that after months and months of me warning young people to be careful and not believe that because we are young that we are invincible to catching the virus. I recall confirmed reports out of Bimini where 5 females, including 2 young girls, age 11 and 15, tested positive for the virus. And you know, Madam President, I'll just I'll stick a pin there for a second. Just say, while I'm being heckled, you know, two on one. I'm not scared to take them on. So come on, bring it on, bring it on. All right? Yeah, I don't mind. Bring it on. Yesterday, the Minister of Health, the Honorable Remington Wells, said that during the second wave, data has shown that young people are feeling the dreadful effects of COVID-19. He said, and I quote, "The second wave is claiming younger lives compared to the first wave. The average of the deceased is 12 years younger at 61 years at the second, compared to the first wave, where the median age was 73 years old." He continued on saying, however, the age range for 50% of the COVID-19 positive cases is between the ages of age 0, which is the newborn, to 39 years. Well, age 0 to 39 years. My fellow Bahamians, this is serious. This is why we must be responsible and disciplined by our actions and decisions as young people. We must look out for one another. If you are at a social gathering, food store, restaurant, etc., do not be afraid to remind persons near you to practice the health protocols. Tell them to give you that 6 feet distance. I do it all the time. I'm on record. I do it all the time. When I go to the food stores, I do it all the time. And the reason why I do it, and the reason why I'm encouraging you to do it, is because at the end of the day, we must do our part to protect life, even if it's just ours. And if you save your life, you'll be very surprised how much impact that will be for your family and others who you congregate on a regular. So again, I encourage you young people to do your part, and the wider community to do your part, and remind individuals to please, let's respect the health protocols. Let us respect the 6 feet distancing. Let us wash our hands. Let us wear our masks.
Before you go in, do you have some further points to make? Do you have further points to make?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I think it's an appropriate time for me to move the resolution. Madam President, I beg leave to move that the Senate, the business of the Senate, do continue beyond the hour of 1 p.m. so that we may wrap up without having to break for lunch. If I may obtain a second.
It has been moved and seconded that the business of the Senate extend beyond 1 p.m. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The Senate's business will continue post 1 p.m.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, AG. So I ask a question to my fellow Bahamians. Is it about power or is it about common sense?
Wow.
Madam President, parts of the world is experiencing a second wave and are now putting measures in place to try to suppress this virus from spreading. Here in the Bahamas, the government is once again being proactive and prepared by requesting and keeping that the orders in place despite what the naysayers may say. That is what leaders who have a vision do. Unlike the opposition and the critics who don't not know what it is or what it is or want us to have something in place. And we all know what the Bible says about people like them. People who have no vision, they perish. They perish. That's what the Bible says. My fellow Bahamians, do you recall back on May 19, 2020, when Bimini had to go on a 2-week lockdown because of the spread? Prime Minister Minnis said the measures was absolutely necessary to slow and control the community spread of the COVID-19 on that island. He said, and I quote, "A lockdown like this is not something that would have been preferred, but it is absolutely necessary because things will get worse on Bimini if we don't take this strong measure immediately." End quote. My fellow Bahamians, the role of a government is to protect its citizens, something the opposition failed while in office and now even out of office. Governments provide the parameters for everyday behavior for citizens, protect them from outside interference, and often provide for their well-being and happiness. That is what real government does, and everything I just mentioned, the F&M government has and continues to do. Can you imagine what would have happened to a small population of 2,000 Biminites if the competent authority didn't take immediate action? Can you imagine what would have happened to them if the competent authority didn't do its job? See, Madam President, being Prime Minister is not just a job where you sit on top and exercise authority. But during this time, to Prime Minister Minutes, it is more than just a job. It is a sworn duty to do all he can to keep the Bahamas safe. So I ask the question, my fellow Bahamians, is it about power or is it about common sense? Madam President, I join the Prime Minister in calling on Bahamians to let us follow the health protocols, practice social distancing, wear your mask, clean your hands, etc. So at the end of the day, we could eliminate this virus. I also joined the Prime Minister when he said if we can do these simple things, we can become a leader not just in this hemisphere, but in the world. If we practice this beyond the opening of our country, we will be able to counteract anything. But truth be told, my fellow Bahamians, it all starts with you and I. Let us take on the mindset of the family islands who work vigorously to ensure that they keep their island COVID-free number low or even COVID-free. In my view, the family islands have always led the way in being disciplined, responsible, and accountable. It is now time for the rest of the Bahamas to do the same thing. This is the only way our economy will survive under these dreadful times. You, Mary, Johnny, and others have to do your part. I have repeatedly said in this house or through press statements, and I will say it again, this virus does not see red or yellow. So let's not be political or mischievous, because all it sees is the next target. We have lost many Bahamian souls in this unwanted fight. As I wrap up, Madam President, we have joined countries around the world in launching an attack and fighting this global pandemic. As Bahamians, we can't be consumed by our pay differences anymore. We will have to be united in our common interests. We are fighting for our right to live. We are fighting for our right to enjoy our cultural norms. We are fighting for our right to get the economic wheel moving again. So fellow Bahamians who are displaced can't go back to work. So for Bahamians who are displaced and who want to go back to work just to earn a living, feed their families, and be able to once again pay their bills and feel proud again. And should we win this fight, COVID-19 will no longer have a strong hold on the globe or us as a people. Instead, we will go quietly into the night. We will live on. Let us come and work together for the greater good, because we are the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. My fellow Bahamians, I ask one last time, is it about power or is it about common sense? And by that, Madam President, I am supporting the resolution to extend and continue the emergency orders to the end of October of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. As many